I feel lost, as if I'm always waiting for the worst to happen. Every day, the feeling that my partner might abandon me at any moment consumes me. No matter how much I love, no matter how much I dedicate myself, the fear of losing someone you love takes over with every glance, every unspoken word. It's as if I'm walking on thin ice, always afraid that a small mistake or a moment of silence will push him away. My mind races, thinking about all the ways he could leave, and I find myself trapped in these thoughts, questioning if I'm enough, if he'll still love me tomorrow. This anxiety makes it hard to breathe, to focus on anything else. I feel suffocated by the fear of being left alone, as if no matter how much I give, it'll never be enough to keep him by my side. The thought of him walking out of my life at any moment, of being abandoned, is unbearable. I don't know how to manage this overwhelming fear anymore. Wisdom, how to overcome fear of abandonment in relationships, and how can I stop this constant anxiety from controlling my life and my happiness?
I completely understand you, and I want you to know that you are not alone in this pain. Thousands of people around the world share this emotional experience every day. Feel embraced and supported in your pain, and don't feel ashamed of it. This pain is not permanent, and you won't feel it forever. The fear of abandonment in relationships is a deep and often suffocating feeling. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It is usually related to past experiences or internal insecurities. When you feel like something precious in your life, such as the love of a partner, is being threatened, anxiety can become constant. This fear manifests as a relentless concern about the stability of the relationship and the constant feeling that you're about to lose someone you love. It can manifest in behaviors like excessive clinginess, constant anxiety about your partner leaving you, or even impulsive actions to avoid separation. This fear also creates the illusion that things that have never happened are actually happening, doesn't it? You create imaginary worlds with negative situations that only exist in your mind. You fantasize that your partner met someone better than you, somewhere, and soon they will leave you for that person. Am I right? Is this what happens to you? It's painful to write about these thoughts, isn't it? I know. These situations are only happening in your imagination. None of them are real. Your insecurity is the scriptwriter of these scenarios, and your low self-esteem is the director of this film, where you always lose. This fear has an explanation, and it also has a solution. This fear is often a reflection of insecurities that were planted in your childhood or adolescence. This fear grows in the shadows of your own doubts, fed by past experiences of abandonment or the lack of trust in your own emotional identity. You fear that you are not enough and think you will be abandoned because of it. Because at any moment your partner will think that it's not worth staying with you. It's as if there's always someone better ready to cross their path, and they will leave you to be with that person. The fear of losing someone you love is also intensified by the belief that you won't be able to live without that person, that your happiness and well-being depend entirely on their presence. In summary, what are the 3 reasons why this fear happens? The first reason is past experiences. The fear of abandonment can come from past experiences of rejection or abandonment. If you face significant losses in the past, you may end up projecting this fear into current relationships. If you've been abandoned suddenly, you may be projecting the fear of this experience, repeating itself in every new relationship. Have you ever been abandoned? And did that leave a negative mark on you? The second reason is emotional insecurity. When a person doesn't have a solid foundation of self-esteem, the fear of losing someone you love intensifies. Emotional insecurity can make you feel incapable of living without the other person, believing that your happiness depends exclusively on them. How is your self-esteem? Do you believe that low self-esteem is related to your fear of being abandoned? Have you ever considered identifying the origin of your low self-esteem and what caused it? Everything has a beginning, and if you have low self-esteem, it has an explanation. The third reason is emotional dependency. The fear of someone leaving you is also related to emotional dependency. When a person can't feel complete on their own and places all their happiness and security in the other person, any sign of distance can trigger the fear of abandonment, even if it's just the product of someone's imagination, who feels they can be abandoned at any moment. Past experiences, emotional insecurity, and emotional dependency. These are the three villains that intensify your fear of abandonment in relationships. You can fight these villains and overcome them. I'm going to tell you how. First, understand that this fear, while valid and understandable, does not define the future of your relationship. Let me tell you a parable to illustrate this. The parable of the candle and the turtle. There was a small candle in a lighthouse, which, every night, illuminated the sea to guide the boats. It feared that, at any moment, the wind would blow it out, and without its light, the boats would get lost in the ocean. One day, a wise turtle passing by said, "Dear candle, you are stronger than you think. Your light doesn't depend on the wind, but on the inner flame you carry. No matter the storms that come, your light will always shine, as long as you trust yourself." The candle, upon hearing this, felt more confident. It wasn't the wind that defined its light, but the flame it carried inside. Just like the candle, your strength doesn't come only from the presence of others, but from the trust in your own emotional roots. Cultivate your independence, and remember that you are whole, with or without the presence of another by your side. Now, wisdom leaves 3 pieces of advice for overcoming the fear of abandonment in relationships. The first one, strengthen your self-esteem. Learn to recognize your own worth and understand that your happiness doesn't depend exclusively on someone else. The more you believe in your ability to be happy on your own, the less the fear of losing someone you love will affect your emotional well-being. Investing in your self-confidence is essential to reducing the anxiety of being left. This involves taking care of yourself, celebrating your achievements, and most importantly, understanding that you are enough, with or without the presence of the other. The more secure you feel in yourself, the less the fear of abandonment will have power over you. Isn't it time you pay attention to your self-esteem? Isn't it time to discover the triggers in your emotional state that awaken this fear of abandonment in relationships? Don't abandon yourself on this journey of self-knowledge. Take seriously the task of working on your self-esteem so that this fear of abandonment fades away. Until you understand the origin of this fear, you won't be able to fight it effectively. Discover that origin by working on your self-esteem. The second one, build your emotional independence. Don't depend on anyone to feel complete. when the fear of being left alone dominates your emotions. This often happens because you feel dependent on the other person for your happiness and well-being. The key to overcoming this fear is building your emotional independence. This means learning to feel complete on your own, without needing constant approval or the presence of the other to feel safe. Find activities and passions that strengthen your identity and help increase your emotional self-sufficiency. By investing in your own interests, hobbies, and personal goals, you create a solid foundation for your self-esteem, which reduces the anxiety about being left behind. And by building your emotional independence, you also become more capable of handling the ups and downs of any relationship. This doesn't mean distancing yourself emotionally from your partner, but rather recognizing that although love and connection are important, your happiness and balance come from within. When you are emotionally self-sufficient, the fear of abandonment loses its power because you are already whole with who you are. The third one, practice open communication. Speak openly about your fears with your partner. Communication strengthens trust and helps face insecurities together. When you have the fear of someone leaving you, this fear is often fed by uncertainty and a lack of clarity in the relationship. Instead of letting the fear grow and cause anxiety, it's essential to practice open communication with your partner. Speaking about your fears honestly and vulnerably doesn't mean demanding or pressuring, but rather sharing your feelings so both of you can better understand the insecurities that arise. When you communicate your insecurities, the fear of abandonment in relationships loses some of its power because you are no longer keeping these feelings to yourself, which can increase anxiety. By speaking openly about your concerns, you create space for your partner to share their feelings too, which strengthens mutual trust. Open communication allows both of you to explore the dynamics of the relationship together, finding ways to handle uncertainties and reaffirming each other's commitments, strengthening your self-esteem, building emotional independence, and practicing open communication. These are 3 pillars for overcoming the fear of abandonment in relationships. Embrace them and invest in them. Don't abandon yourself on this journey. You will see the fear of losing someone you love gradually disappear from your life, and the peace you deserve will reign in your heart. If this video helped you reflect on the fear of abandonment in relationships and how to overcome it, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more videos like this. And now, think. What is the biggest obstacle that prevents you from trusting yourself and your worth more? Leave your answer in the comments and share your journey of overcoming. You will overcome the fear of abandonment, and the light of inner freedom will shine in your heart.